Greetings, and welcome to another installment of Age of Empires Castle Siege Tutorials. I'm Dice Gods, and in this episode what we're going to talk about is castle design. How to lay out your defenses so that it limits the number of 2-star and hopefully eliminates the dreaded 3-star loss that you will otherwise sustain if you make fundamental errors in the design and layout of your castle. So, to begin, first thing that I want to touch upon is army camps. When you place your army camps, just set them as far away from the castle as possible. They take no part in the battle. In fact, they pretty much just disappear and leave like a little footprint as to where they normally are. And one of the most common mistakes that you will see people make is putting their army camps either inside the walls or along the wall like that. When the battle commences, you're going to see as an attacker the footprint of those army camps there, and it's a dead giveaway that there's no trap there. So that means that it's pretty safe, if you so desire, to launch your attack in that direction or through that area of the castle. That got screwed up. Another thing that you want to make sure that you don't do is have your guardhouses outside of the wall. Your guardhouses and your watch signal must always be inside the walls and as well protected as you can reasonably have them. Now, with age 6 castles and below, I mean, your castle is not going to be overly elaborate. There's not really a whole heck of a lot you can do to have these any more, say, deeper within the castle. So, like, but as long as they're inside the walls and reasonably well protected, that's how they should be. Definitely don't ever stick these things out in the middle of nowhere. Don't have them outside the walls. Have them inside the walls, because as long as they remain undestroyed, they will continue to send out troops throughout the course of the whole battle. Then, as far as like the actual layout and design of your castle here, one of the most effective means of making your castle difficult to completely destroy is having it broken up into various cells. The more broken up, the better. In fact, you will see that the very top players in the world never have like wide open layouts where there's a lot of space. As much as possible, they try to have everything broken up into smaller cells. That's a pretty good example of that. And in all actuality, yes, this player has suffered, his share of 2-star losses, but 1 seems to be the most common. Wow, somebody really put it to him there. That's really impressive that they managed to ace that castle. So there you go. That's generally speaking. Now, obviously, if you're age 5, 6, 7, you're not going to have a castle that looks anything like that. But as much as possible, attempt to emulate that notion of dividing your castle up into a multitude of cells that make it harder for the enemy once he gets into, like, say, if they penetrate through here, they break this wall down, and they're in here, well, they're not going to be able to just do a whole bunch of running around and taking out a bunch of stuff. They still have more walls that they have to break through before they can move on to the next section, and then the next section, Again, time is actually the enemy of the attacker, so the more time-consuming and difficult that you can make it to move from section to section, the better off you are. And then as far as your tower placement goes, what you want to try and do is create as much as possible like a synergy between the towers. They should be mutually supporting, so that they provide cover fire for each other. A lot of times you'll see people, they'll stick their towers out in the corner like that, and there's no other towers around, and then they got another tower over here in this corner. That's not good. These towers are not mutually supporting, so basically, one infantry and a trebuchet and that tower's gone. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that they provide cover fire for each other. And then you want to mix it up. You have, say, like ballistas that can't shoot short range. I find that having a ballista tower flanked by archer towers is extremely effective at providing cover fire for each other and in augmenting one another's abilities. You know, ballistas are very strong against siege weapons, and archers are very good at taking down infantry, tanking units. So the units that are, being used as a meat shield, so there you go. You want to, that's good synergy there. And then when it comes to like your emplacements, your catapult, your trebuchet emplacements, what you want to have is short range towers that help protect them from ladder invaders or even other infantry or any other unit, because again, they can't shoot short range. They can only shoot long range. So by having a powerful short range tower that helps protect them and covers that circle there, within which they can't fire, you're creating good synergy there. It isn't always necessary to have them like right on top of one another. You see that a lot, and it's not bad, but as long as they're nearby. In this particular case, what I have here is I got the crossbow tower there and the flame tower there. And what that does is the flame tower is providing some cover fire for the trebuchet and the catapult and the watch signal. And then I got the crossbow tower there. Over here, where this catapult emplacement is, I have this crossbow tower providing cover fire for that. So there you go. That's kind of one of the things that you want to do. And then in addition to that, you want to kind of, as much as possible, create like a as much as possible, like a circular, when you're this low of an age and you can't really devise much of a defense in depth. So as much as possible, try to have your towers spaced out in a, not necessarily a circle, that's would actually be kind of difficult, but somewhat sort of circular, so that they're not only providing cover for each other, but also providing a little bit of cover fire for these outside buildings here. That's another thing too, is like make sure that it's your storage buildings, your resource storage buildings that you have inside the walls. These unit production buildings, and then even like your farms and mills, they really aren't as important to protect. So keep them on the outside of the perimeter, along the wall, so that there's still some price to be paid for attacking them, but so you're not just giving them up for free. A lot of times you'll see where players, like I do that as well. It's not a bad idea, a terrible idea to have some buildings way off in the corner, because a lot of times they get overlooked. But one thing you want to avoid is having like a whole bunch of buildings clustered together in the corner that are just real easy to take out. So you definitely don't want to do that. And then here's one last thing I want to share with you. As you can see here, I have all kinds of gates inside of my castle that allows considerable freedom of movement for all my units inside the guardhouses. And how I achieve that, here's a neat little trick to show you. Normally when you have a wall and you wish to create a gate, you have to create it by having a road on either side. And there you go. There's your gate. And as soon as you move one of those roads, the gate disappears. Well, one of the things that you can do is you can have one road and then take your keep. Create your gate and then move the keep. The gate will remain utilizing only one road. And what that allows is for you to have a much more, like in a case like this, where normally I wouldn't be able to put these buildings here because there'd be a road, or at least this building here, because there'd be a road there. By using that little keep trick, that gate trick with the removable keep, I can still keep my gate and yet also have a building there. Same in this case right here. I got this silo here in front of that gate. And the whole idea behind this is that my truly important buildings are very well protected. Everything's divided up into cells, so it's very difficult to just go from one section to the other without a lot of effort. And I have my least important buildings along the perimeter, pretty much for the most part along the wall, where there's still some price to be paid. They're going to draw some fire from these towers if they try to just run around and take those out. Plus, also my units are going to be, they're going to have a say in that matter. Whether you going after my buildings, and for the most part, it makes it really difficult to get 2 stars against this, let alone 3 stars. So, all right, there you go. That's for the most part, I think that'll have to do. Just make sure you don't make any fundamental mistakes as far as putting your army camps along the wall. Make sure you keep your watch signals and your guardhouses well protected. Your resource buildings, those are very important. Try to create synergy with your towers and your emplacements. And as much as possible, try to keep everything divided up into cells that are much harder to move from one section to the other in your castle. Okay, there you go. That'll have to do for now. Hopefully that'll give you some guidance as far as your castle design goes. And until next time, this is Dice Gods signing out.